All right, gentlemen, welcome to Ask Hypnotica 3030. It's a wonderful Friday here today, and I noticed that there was a question that came in that could be on the you shouldn't talk about it phase. Okay, what I mean by that is we're talking about some medicinal plants for expanding consciousness. Some people call them drugs, but you got to remember drugs all came from a plant source for the most part, which is God's medicine. So let's keep it in that frame. God's medicine that was free to be explored for lots of different reasons. And here's the question. Hey, Eric, what are some of your preferred preparations, mindset, and intentions for embarking on DMT trips? I've had about 20 experiences. My last was 5 years ago, and it went south due to some personal issues, and I haven't tried since, but I'd like to. Thanks, Chris from Florida. Well, let me give you a little background, okay? And probably a lot of people out there are going to trip on what I say. Now, there's a couple different mindsets that I think when you're exploring, let's just say those things that we're talking about that are sometimes framed as illegal or things like this. I can't really say the word because it's kind of hard for me to say the word. All right? Anyways, I'm pretty much mostly like straight and narrow, I should say, because I've been through it. Like, this is a cool place to be. Like, when you get bored of, like Huey Lewis's song, I Need a New Drug, all right, and you understand the mindset. There's two different mindsets I think about it. Mine had always been the exploration. Like, I'm fascinated. I want to, set up equipment and do brain scans and find out, how consciousness affects consciousness and how different drugs interact with each other. I'm fascinated by it, okay? I'm a bona fide psychonaut to the 10th degree, guaranteed, all right? But then there's another phase, and that's when people are trying to use it as an escape, and that's the downfall. Now, I always say, let's just call them drugs, all right? Straight, what do you want to call them? Drugs. Are basically neutral, all right? Now, there's some that I think are fucking ridiculously stupid to do. Heroin and meth, bad, all right? Like, don't never touch those, just whatever. Okay, there's some other ones. I've explored pretty much most of them, all right? And it wasn't because I was lost, and it wasn't because I'm depressed. It's because I'm just damn curious, all right? And I want to know about these things. So when you're running away from stuff and you're trying to use that as an escape, it's going to be a baddie, okay, for the most part, okay, because you're never going to find that unless you have your own inner happiness. Now, if you're using it to explore, there are always risks involved. Absolutely, I can guarantee that. So you really got to know, what's your intention going into these things. Now, I say drugs are like it's like a porthole, right? You never know where it's going to go. Sometimes it can take you somewhere cool. Sometimes it can take you somewhere not so cool, all right? So you got to understand that. Anytime you're doing some medicinal, God's gift of medicine to you, it's always best that you're clean. And what I mean by clean is you should absolutely have a clean diet. Maybe you do a 3-day fast on green juices. Clean your system out. Get all the processed foods and all the man-made shit out of you, okay? Because that's how, nature is trying to communicate with you. So it's just best to do that. You're going to get a cleaner, conscious importation of advice from the cosmos. Let me just give you a quick background. I probably haven't said it too many times, but I've probably done, probably 230 trips of DMT, all right, mixed with ketamine, okay, with a mind machine, all right, over and over to explore. So I know that there's different realms out there, absolutely. Okay, mescaline, I can't even count the number of times. Shrooms, can't even count the number of times. Weed just makes me lazy. It's not like a big thing for me. Whippets, that got me for a while, all right. Like, I could literally kill 500 little things in a night. Killed 27-pound things by myself. All right, so that got me for a while. It's a little kind of addictive, but I overcame that. All right, but it's all mind expanding. Like, to me, when people say, "Oh, it's bad," you know what I think's bad? And like I said, this is not a pro-drug conversation that we're having here. Okay, like I said, it's neutral. But when I can give an experience that's referentially indexed from me and the experience, that's way more powerful. A lot of people are like, they're going to get into the God issue, and they're going to say, oh, it's bad, it's evil, you're going to hell, and stuff like this. But, my opinion on it is, I've been there. Like, I've gone into some pretty dark places where these things can take you to experience. And because I had such a faith in myself and who I was and in my own belief in God, whatever you want to say. When I say God, I mean like spirit and everything like this. I don't mean like big Jehovah on the mountain or things like this. It's more of a neutralized identification with it, okay? Because trust me, I've seen some crazy shit out there on some of that stuff, all right? So I know there's other realms, entities, consciousnesses, some strange stuff, all right? But like I said, just really be prepared and have an intention. Like, I never just do it and be like, let's get fucked up. Like, that's not my mentality, okay? My mentality is always like, you know what? This is my intention. I want to go into it. It's very ritualistic, right? And the rituals have been around for a long time. All right. So I sit down, I kind of plan like what I want out of it. And then sometimes with like DMT, you plan what you want and it just says, fuck what you want. I'm going to tell you what you need. All right. So that's how it kind of works sometimes. But me personally, I can't do DMT anymore. Like DMT gods, bam, slap me down. Matter of fact, it scared the fucking shit out of me. Okay. And I'm a brave dude. Like I'm not afraid of anything, but I was mixing. Okay, this is bad. All right, this was bad actually. I was kind of having, I was doing like Starbucks macchiato, lots of sugar and stuff, and I kind of have a late night, and I decided, I'm going to stand. I had the Sphinx of Imagination on, and I actually was layering in because you could hear and go into different realms, messages that were going in. So I was working on these realms, and when you're listening to it, when you're on ketamine mix, I was actually going to call it Sphinx of Imagination DMTK, because when I'm in there, I was hearing all kinds of things, and I was just making it masterful. It's already masterful, okay, but I was making it super masterful. And it was like my 30th trip that day, and I'm going to tell you the story. And so I hit it. Usually it takes me 3 good puffs, like, and then pow, welcome to the other side. You're not in Kansas anymore, Toto type of thing. And so it came on really fast, like way faster than it normally does after one hit. And it was like this consciousness. And it's really hard to explain this if you're talking to a person who's never done this. But there was this like message. It was like a high pitched screeching kind of like something's wrong, and reality starting to shift on me. And all of a sudden, I thought my hair was on fire. I was like, "Oh shit!" Like my hair's on fire, like this. And I was like, got up and I called my wife. I was like, "Babe," because I was thinking, "Shit, my hair's on fire," but it wasn't. But it was just this energy. Something wasn't right. And so I started to walk across the room, and all of a sudden, like my visuals are all going up and stuff, and that other world's transforming itself in front of me. And all of a sudden, I walked. It was like 2 people took these wires and went. All the visuals went and just fucking died. And I lost feeling. All right, like I was disconnected with everything. It was the most fucked up, loneliest, scariest. If there was a hell, I would say that was it. Okay, there was a little bit of light there, so it was like kind of just scaring the shit out of me, saying, "Hey, dude, this is a ritualistic drug. You're getting a little out of hand with this because you're taking advantage of what it's meant for." Because I was doing my own thing, trying to go in there. I kind of abused the ritualistic, so DMT God slapped me down. Right, and I went outside and I just looked and everything was just smothering. It was gnarly. Like the feeling, I can't even describe the feeling. My heart was racing. I was fucking white. And I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Like I was just trying to help, build the Sphinx even better and better. It scared the fucking shit out of me, man. Like, no joke. Scariest place I've ever been in my entire life. All right. And I walked outside and I saw this like person like walking down. I was scared. I was like, fuck, man. I'm like, hello. And it was this zombie. It just kept on going by. And I was like, oh my, this is not good. And everything was like pissed at me. And I like went up, my computer was just like trying to survive. It was like, and I'm like, oh, I just need to go to sleep, because there, and I like laid down the pillow. It was like, you fucked up, dude. Not a good feeling, okay? And this lasted for 15 minutes of pure hell, right? And then finally I closed my eyes and I woke my eyes. My wife was right there and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, holy fucking shit. Like, thank God you're here. And I was like, boom, 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 boom. But it fucked me up for like 6 months. 6 months, I did not have any feeling. I was like going on faith for the most part. Like, oh shit, like I think I fucked up something in my brain. So, don't overdo it. Respect the DMT gods, okay? Now, me being one that's not thwarted easily, like a week later, I'm like, I am not going to be left in this state of fear, because it scared the shit out of me, right? And when I don't get afraid, okay? This shit scared the shit out of me. I don't want to part. Like, if I could tell you this. Matter of fact, you could put on the internet, scariest DMT trip, because I wrote something about it afterwards, because I was freaked the fuck out, all right? It scared the shit out of me. Like I said, you can see that and read what I wrote like 30, 40 minutes after this, because I was like, what the fuck is going on, all right? And I'm extremely skilled. I'm in ultra masterful level of psychotropics and stuff like this. So I want you to understand that when you get to that level and you think you got it going on, DMT comes in and says, dude, you don't know shit, bro. Squash. All right. So understand that. All right. So back to the story. So here I was a week later. I'm like, I am not going to be left in this fear state. So I went back in. Here we go, puffed it again, and same negative, fucked up feeling. I'm like, dude, this is not cool. All right, like it's not a cool feeling because it just layered it, and I'm like, that's not cool. So then it went 3 months. In 3 months, I'm like, all right, you know what? Like, I am not going to let that thing get a hold of me. And so I did it again. Man, it was just like 15 minutes of like skulls coming at me. It was just not good. So the DMT gods said, yo, dude, sorry, you're out of that realm. So I've been very hesitant to explore that anymore because I think I got the message, unless three's a charm and I can try it again. But the cool part about all this is I've explored all those realms. And I walk out, I'm more mindful. And I can tell you, you're walking on a razor's edge. Or I also want to say this, like I said, this is not a pro-drug thing that I'm telling you here, okay? There are times when you get kind of close. And anyone that goes in that realm, understand, you're walking on a neutral fine line, all right? And it can be scary. And I've seen lots of people, especially with meth and heroin, brought fucking down, all right? Terrible, terrible drugs. I've seen people with cocaine brought down, okay? Those are not things that I really mess with. All right, so I just want to impart on you, like, there is a difference, I believe, all right, with being smart about things and being reckless and stupid. So understand that. These are just things I want to talk about because if you're interested in what you're saying you're interested in, take it seriously, okay? Like I said, it's a porthole, all right, and it's going to take you some strange places you won't be able to understand and things like this. If you're going to be around people, all right, make sure they're positive people because when you're opening up your psyche to that degree, and I know lots of Bible people will be like, oh, he's possessed and all that shit. No, you know what? I got way more faith walking through the valley of fucking death strong because I walked through that. And I still have way more faith than most people, okay? So, I ain't thwarted by that, the dark side, although I do know the dark side exists, all right? But I'm a fucking warrior, all right? Definitely on that level. Remember that if you're around negative people of questionable character, and people can say I'm a questionable character, but I'm a good person. I take care of people. Questionable people are people that they've crossed a little too far and they've lost a little bit too much of their consciousness. Okay, they're in the Badlands. All right, let's put it that way. You're around those people and you open up your psyche on that level. There's a lot of control. People on that land, they can trust me. I've been there. People try to overcome and take your fucking mind and soul. I've seen it. I've felt it. And you better have a strong disposition and faith to come back to, okay? And that's across the board. I'm not going to say one religion's better or anything like that, but have a good, strong faith in who you are. So those are the important things. If you can, dark rooms are good. Good music is good. Outdoors is good, but outdoors away from people because, like I said in my book, Meta Horror, when I went out and I went to the 6th grade camp and I just walked into the kitchen and I was like, hey, I'm one of the counselors. I'm just going to make this mescaline out of the San Pedro cactus and I'm going to teach the kids how to do it. I didn't tell them it was San Pedro and I didn't tell them it was psychedelics. But he thought I was one of the counselors and I chopped that little bad boy up, and showed him how to do it and said, this is a great tea, He thought it was a real good tea. I knew it was a real good tea. I walked out an hour into the woods, in Cuyamaca Mountains and did it and did some weird ass shit. Like shit that if I did in near people, I'd be like the loony bin, dude. Like butt ass naked, burying your head, like strange shit, running through the forest naked, running away from the shadow, figuring like I'm not running from the shadow, I'm gonna run towards the shadow and hit the shadow in the darkness with my full light of raw shit you don't normally see every day. Okay, so be aware of these things. So that's all I can really say about these things. Be careful, know your source, make sure it's good. And like I said, this is not a pro-drug thing because you're walking a neutral ground, bro. That's all I can say on that one. But be prepared, take care of your body, know your intention, be as clean as possible, and boom! That's how fast things can happen when you decide to go on some of these psychedelic journeys. So I'm preparing you for some weirdness that goes on. Now, I'm going to tell you a couple things not to do. All right, I went all the way into a different day, so that's how this thing transcends. Anyways, one time I was deciding I was going to do a little journey, and I was doing mushrooms. And I was at my friend's house, and man, I took almost a day, okay? I got Play-Doh, and I made this archetype of things that I want. I had symbols on it that represented the things that I wanted in life, that I wanted to explore, traits that I wanted. I mean, so this thing was really, really magically done. I put a lot of time, a lot of emphasis, and that's what I was going to basically set as my intention when I was going to go out and do these mushrooms, and that was what I was going to internalize and bring in. So My friends thought it would be kind of funny. I had one that was holding a sword, okay, and that sword was basically, to me, was like cutting through just bullshit. All right, so that was what I was bringing into my life at that point in time, or I was enhancing and expanding upon. And when I was gone, they thought it would be actually kind of funny, to take my knife or to sword, and they put a fork with a hot dog on it. Okay, now, funny as it is, that's not cool. So don't do shit like that. Do not fuck with people when they are doing ritual. Okay, it's not a good thing. Now I came back and I saw it, and I was irritated. Okay, and now call it a placebo, call it the programming of seeing that in an altered state. I put on like 20 pounds after that. Okay. And then I was like, okay, you know what? Like, this is wrong. And I just started getting some bad eating habits and stuff like this. But you never know how it's going to affect you. So I want you to be prepared for that. And, be prepared for, if you do something like that, be prepared when someone's working in that spiritual realm, all right? Then if you do something like that, it could come back on it. Now, I broke this guy's arm, all right? It was a long time ago. But I'm saying, hey, maybe that was the karma for coming back. That's my own way I'm going to do it, He was trying to basically... The game was over. It was in elementary school. I don't know, a long time. He was basically trying to come home. The whistle, the buzzer already blew, and he was trying to come home to try to win the game. We're like, hey, it stopped, and he kept on running. So I stepped up and chucked him a little bit like this, and broke his arm. That's how things work. Now, I'm not saying it's one way or the other. I'm just saying, hey, you screwed with me, or maybe he was trying to get me back. One of those two. Anyways, the point is, don't screw with people when they're doing rituals, because it's a very intimate thing. Don't tease them. Don't screw with them. Don't try to mess with their heads. That's not cool. And you know what? Karma does come back. And if you ever go through those journeys, it's probably going to make it a lot crazier for you. So I want you to remember these things. A few other things that I think are important. All right. Now, I'm a professional partier. I'm not a bad partier, but I can go, and I have a kind of like an 80-20 rule now. I'll party maybe, I don't know, two times out of a month. But I get wild and I get crazy, and I like to shake it off and have a great time. Okay, festivals or things like this. I like to let loose, and I think everyone should. Now, when you look at people who have, let's say, they party, they drink, or they do things like this, a lot of them look broken down. Like, I'm 44 years old. I'm fit. I'm strong. I take care of myself. If you party, if you go out, okay, you have to replenish your minerals, your vitamins, your water, and you got to get on that exercise bike and go, okay, because you're breaking your body down. And if you consistently get into that mode of being, all right, where it just becomes consistent and you're eating processed food, you're going to look really fucked up really quick. All right, so I want you to understand these things. When I throw parties in my house, like I got my little jacuzzis over there and stuff like this, and all that good stuff. Okay, this is what I would do. People would be partying, having a good time. Sun's coming up. Neighbors are knocking at the door, wanting to come visit the parties. I have a cool neighborhood, anyways. And so what I would do is I would bring out, like, I have wheatgrass and juices up there, okay? I have blue-green algae. I got all kinds of good stuff. I'd come out, I would pass out 5-HTP pills, if you know what that does. Wheatgrass and stuff like this, and I would get their nutrition back into them, because you're thinking consciously, okay? If you're a professional partier with some perspective, you're going to be able to do these things. You're giving them water, coconut water, minerals, whole food vitamins. Don't get those synthetic ones, man. Body looks something like poisons, okay? But you get them in there, and it's just a good thing. So these are some extra tips. Like I said, I've lasted a long time in the game, in a game that most people don't last. I always say this just because some people, you never know where they come in. 23 years of running strip clubs. Most people look like frail after 7 years, okay? Thriving, striving, doing good, party with the best of them, and healthier, and just my mind's straight. Everything's good, okay? But it comes down to, if you do the crime, you got to do some time in the gym, do some time getting your water, doing some time getting the nutrition, doing some time getting your body healthy. Especially, this one's hard, okay? But if you party hard, okay, and which I recommend, go for the 80-20 rule, you'll be good, all right? 80%. Let me just make this clear. Some people go, 80% you can party. No, it's 80% you'd be healthy, 20%, pick your parties wisely, all right? And, but exercise. The best way to do it is make sure you're hydrated, but get on the cardio. I know lots of people hate cardio, but get up there, get your heart rate going, do some high intensity stuff like this. And what that does is not only does it replete the dopamine and the serotonin and all the good chemicals in your brain, okay, but it also stimulates neurogenesis, new brain cells being created, and you're going to do really good. So when those people that are really squares and they're like, you shouldn't party, but you look at their Facebook and you're like, what the hell? Like, sometimes I don't even like looking at my Facebook because I'm like, there's no way this guy graduated with me because he looks like he's 70 years old, all right? And then I see 20-year-olds at a party, and I look next to them, and I look at my skin, I look at their skin, and I'm just like, I'm doing pretty good, okay? So love yourself, all right? Take care of yourself. Respect yourself, okay? And when you decide to go a little bit extreme, come back and extra respect yourself and put in the work afterwards. So, real quick synopsis on this little outside journey. Don't fuck with people, okay? Prepare your rituals, okay? Make sure you have someone cool around you, if you're going to be doing it that way, a spotter, and rock and roll. So, here we go, back into here we go. If I see you on that side, give me a thumbs up. I'll give you a thumbs up too. With that, hope this helps, my friend. Enjoy, and I forgot one thing. Hey, all right, let's get back in there. There you go. Okay, now we're back into the thing. Now, one other thing I want to say is prepare your space. All right, if you're doing these kind of things and stuff like this, like, listen, okay, I've seen lots of crazy stuff, and I've done lots of ritualistic things, and I always prepare my room. First thing I do is I sage it. Okay, I go through sage with cedar and I cleanse it out. Other thing, what you can do is, if you really want to make sure that room is purified, go get some Epsom salt, get some 90% isopropyl alcohol. Pour a little bit on there on like a cement block. Okay, don't be doing this stuff, and make it in a very strong glass. Okay, make sure that this thing going to go all over the place, right? And you kind of put it a little bit in there, just a cup full of Epsom salt, and just drench it a little bit with the alcohol, and then basically light it, and then the fire goes up, and any negative energy, any lingering energy gets sucked in. Let it burn out. Go toss it to the earth, and let the earth do its thing and purify it. Things like this. Also, if I really am cleansing a space, what I also do is like I said, I'll put on oming for like 8 hours. You go to YouTube, you put om, things like this, just these premortal sounds like om, like good stuff, good vibey stuff. I take a gong, I go through, and when I can walk through my room and I'm like, this feels good, okay, that's when I'm ready to prepare. And there's a lot of other things you can do as well. But that's just another thing I wanted to say because I forgot it. But it's useful if we're going in this direction. So here you go back out, okay? I don't know what else to say. Hypnotica out. Bam!